why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it spans, it's, four parts, and it spans over 30 years of, pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running.
He also underestimated that a lot, some of, with every celebrity, you do have different claims and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts, mm-hmm. and there's footage and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things. And I think that's a big part of the
50 Cent's new Netflix documentary dropped Tuesday and instantly seized the spotlight, gripping viewers with its fast-paced storytelling and startling revelations. The film moves with precision, unfolding powerful first-hand accounts from people who once stood close to Sean Diddy Combs, insiders who understood the environment around him in ways outsiders never could. Through rare, behind-the-scenes footage and testimonies seldom heard publicly, the documentary meticulously assembles a striking portrait of Diddy's rise, the controversies that followed, and the shadowy ecosystem that quietly surrounded his success. On Combs, The Reckoning, a new wave of former Bad Boy Records insiders and artists step forward to recount how they personally remember the turbulent years following the deaths of the notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. Their accounts are not presented as definitive proof, but as deeply personal experiences, memories, doubts, and unanswered questions that lingered long after the headlines faded. Voices including rapper Mark Curry, Roxanne Johnson, Craig Mack's former wife, and Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burroughs collectively paint a striking portrait of a music empire under immense strain. Together, they describe an era marked by mounting pressure, uneven treatment, and a widening East Coast-West Coast divide that ultimately reshaped the tone and trajectory of 1990s hip-hop forever.
The detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proffer agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings already.
Created the atmosphere for both of those guys to lose their lives.
I honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. Nah, I didn't see that during the time we were working.
The documentary presses forward, uncovering lesser-known moments and long-overlooked fragments of the story, transforming the series into one of the most striking and wide-ranging examinations of Sean Diddy Combs' public controversies to date. What emerges is a narrative that goes far beyond headlines, weaving together context, testimony, and consequence. While he has faced federal legal challenges and intense scrutiny, even without convictions on the most severe allegations, public attention around him has only grown louder and more relentless, underscoring how this story continues to evolve long after the courtroom lights
now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix.
That's right. They are demanding it not release a docuseries featuring
this documentary doesn't simply revisit allegations from the past. It pushes the story forward with new claims and revelations that are already igniting renewed media coverage and intense public debate. The filmmakers secured rare, behind-the-scenes footage of Sean Diddy Combs inside a New York hotel room just days before his arrest, recorded by a videographer he personally hired. In these striking moments, Diddy is seen in tense conversations with his legal team, reacting in real time to the nonstop news cycle and the rapid transformation of his public image. The footage delivers an unusually candid window into a pivotal moment, capturing a complex mix of frustration, calculated strategy, and growing concern as the situation spirals toward a breaking point.
I'm waiting the whole time for Aubrey O'Day to reveal some major story that happened between her and Diddy. 3 episodes in, she's basically just talking about Diddy in a very general way. It isn't until the 4th episode that Aubrey reveals a witness walked in on Aubrey O'Day completely inebriated with Diddy doing things to her, as well as a second man who they refer to as a light-skinned, tall man. Details are very explicit and not anything I could share on here. This witness revealed that it was 100% Aubrey O'Day. It was really uncertain in watching Aubrey's reaction and kind of resharing this story whether or not she fully recollected the situation. He says it couldn't have been her choice to become inebriated because that was never her issue. She never really drank a whole ton. The earlier parts of this series, Aubrey does reveal these series of emails that she got from Diddy. They were all in very sexual nature, in a very sexual tone. He's basically asking her to come over and do certain things with him. It's these very domineering emails where he's basically setting the tone that he's the boss. She says that she felt very uncomfortable about those emails and
to hear someone speak with such raw candor in the days leading up to an indictment, especially during conversations that are typically protected by strict attorney-client privilege. Legal analysts note that the presence of a videographer during these exchanges may have inadvertently complicated those protections. Sean Diddy Combs' legal team later told NBC News that the footage was recorded without proper authorization, stating they were unaware of how the material ultimately reached Netflix. They further emphasized that the videographer was bound by stringent contractual agreements designed to keep all private discussions confidential and completely off-limits to the public.
Bad boy. We had gotten over CCNY. It looked like the coast was clear. We were renegotiating with Arista. We were about to get a step up in the money. I had 25% of the company. I didn't know why he needed to get that back from me and then give it back to me again. I didn't understand that. That's like a trick. Like, okay, here, I gave it to you. Now give it back. And don't worry, I'm going to give it right back to you. I didn't want to give it up. So he came into my office one day unexpected, him and Kenny Marsalis. They had it planned out. Kenny had the briefcase with all the stock certificates in it. And Diddy had the bat. Not like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you with the bat. But he had the bat like, man, we got to do this. This has to happen. I didn't feel I was going to get beat down in that office, in all honesty. I got people that can jump out of the shadows in a minute. I wasn't threatened by him. What I was messed up over was the fact that I started this company with you from day zero. And now the one solid thing that you told me I had, you want to take that back and do a return to me on that at this critical time that we're renegotiating and getting a step up on the contract. When he told me it was about all of that renegotiating and that I should trust, I did, begrudgingly, angry, upset. It wasn't right. I did it. He got the stock back. I went on, tried to get over that, kept doing my job, doing what I had to do, delivering everything. And once again, I was caught up in the job. I forgot all about it. And next thing you know, we had the snafu. I was fired. And he just said, oh, okay, bye. And since he had never given me the stock back, he never said that he would pay me anything or give me anything. He just avoided me all these years. Not only did he avoid me all these years, running high and low, I went on and started working with Mary, who the three of us...
This series also reintroduces key figures from different chapters of Sean Diddy Combs' career, former collaborators, performers, and longtime associates who provide a ground-level view of his rise and lasting cultural influence. Their first-hand recollections help close the gaps, offering audiences a clearer understanding of what it meant to move within his orbit during some of the most pivotal moments in hip-hop history. One of those voices is Aubrey O'Day from Making the Band, who reflects on her time working under his leadership. Her perspective adds emotional depth to the episode, unpacking both the opportunities and the obstacles that came with being part of his creative world.
Money, Pac wanted to leave, and it could be some other shit that was going on. But they still created an atmosphere for that. You understand that East Coast, West Coast bullshit. When Suge was trying to use the New York guys to, okay, man, come on, let's make some sense of this shit. And have a meeting and sit down with the New York guys and ask for a representative for Puff to come on. Puff was mad. You see now why Puff was mad. Everybody know now why Puff was mad. That he didn't want nobody to come to the meeting because Suge was playing Pay Daddy. Suge was in there playing Play Daddy with Justin. It's crazy. I said, well, how you going to be mad at Misa and the East Coast, West Coast? And now we see why he was mad. We don't know if Suge sent Puff those pictures years ago. We don't know that. But that's why Puff didn't send a representative when Zipman was asking him, man, let me represent, just let me know. Nah, man, F that. They trying to get a black distribution company, a publishing company, all that for hip hop artists and music. Puff and Jay-Z ain't won't have shit to do with it. And look who get rewarded behind that. So, to answer your question, I think the atmosphere that they designed and made up led to what we know was the East Coast, West Coast war. And both of them had some
A
responsibility.
former partner of Kim Porter also comes forward, sharing what he says he personally witnessed during years spent around the family, offering a perspective shaped by close, prolonged proximity. Former bodyguard Roger Bonds adds another layer, recounting moments in which he claims to have seen Sean Diddy Combs behave aggressively toward Cassie Ventura. Bonds explains that his early admiration for Diddy gradually eroded as he became exposed to conduct that, in his view, revealed a far different reality than the image he once believed in.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you. Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window. Popped. They would drove on my side. I would pop them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Ultimately attempted to challenge the situation in court, but the case was dismissed after judges ruled that the statute of limitations had expired. Even so, he continues to confront other legal disputes connected to his time in the industry, leaving him still grappling with the consequences decades later. From there, the episode pivots to one of hip-hop's most defining conflicts, the infamous Bad Boy Records versus Death Row Records standoff. This East Coast, West Coast clash reshaped the culture, dominated headlines, and altered the sound of an entire generation. Death Row was home to titans like Dr. Dre and Tupac Shakur, while Bad Boy launched stars such as the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, 112, and Maud. Yet insiders featured in the documentary offer a provocative perspective, asserting that the rivalry's most dangerous flames were not fueled by the artists themselves. According to multiple interviewees, it was record executives, particularly Sean Diddy Combs, who continued to escalate the competitive tensions until they erupted into a national spectacle.
I'm going into details on that one. Keep it streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and read from the book.
Well, let them buy the book then.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command. Keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap And that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the backseat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first skin shook in the head, and I thought that mother was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah. White Cadillac, arm came out the back seat and started letting off.
What went through your head when you saw that?
Keefe D's 2008 proper agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. Keefe D told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that Keefe D alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind.
The documentary portrays the label rivalry as something that spiraled far beyond music, morphing into a volatile, street-level conflict with real-world consequences. According to the series, gang affiliations began aligning along industry lines, with the Crips reportedly backing Bad Boy Records and the Notorious B.I.G., while the Bloods were said to support Suge Knight and Death Row Records. What began as competitive posturing within the music business is described as evolving into a dangerous, multi-layered power struggle that extended well beyond the studio. At the center of these escalating tensions, the episode examines Sean Diddy Combs' alleged connection to Eric Von Zip, a figure Diddy has publicly acknowledged as a mentor-like presence who was reportedly linked to Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a man long associated with West Coast street networks. Through recorded conversations featured in the series, alongside analysis from former LAPD Detective Greg Kading, viewers hear Davis discuss his alleged involvement, along with his nephew Orlando Anderson, in the 1996 Las Vegas shooting that claimed the life of Tupac Shakur.
There was the rumor that after Pac got Puffy gave Zip $1 million that was supposed to be handed over, and Zip ended up keeping it. And I remember when I interviewed TK Kirkland, who was actually roommates with Zip at one point. They were that close. He actually said, yeah.
The feds said that too.
He said that actually happened. Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire. So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no, but if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
Davis further alleges that Sean Diddy Combs promised to pay him and other associates to target Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, who was riding in the same vehicle during the infamous 1996 Las Vegas shooting. According to Davis, those payments never materialized, partly because Knight survived the attack, and partly because the money allegedly vanished along with Eric Zip Von Zip, who has since passed away. These claims remain unproven and are strongly disputed, yet they introduce another layer of tension and complexity to an already tangled narrative. By presenting them, the documentary deepens the sense of unresolved questions and lingering mystery surrounding one of hip-hop's most tragic chapters. The episode then shifts to another haunting assertion, as Bad Boy Records co-founder Kirk Burroughs claims that Diddy encouraged Christopher Wallace, known to the world as the Notorious B.I.G., to travel to Los Angeles to promote his album. Despite Biggie's reported hesitation, that trip would tragically end with his murder in 1997.